fellow mood readers, welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to go over, I'm not a TBR at all because like I said, I'm a mood reader and I can't make one to save my life. But I wanted to talk about some of the horror books that I've actually had on my list a lot in the past, and some of the ones that I've recently got that I'm really excited to read. I don't know if I'll get to them before I stop reading horror inevitably for the time being, but I wanted to talk about them and maybe see if you've read them and see which ones maybe you think might be like top of the line for me. And in the comments, I'd love it if you'd let me know some of your most anticipated, because I actually do have a few that are pre-ordered. Like I have one that's pre-ordered that I don't have, and I have one that's an audiobook that I currently have. So I just want to go over some of those and kind of give you an idea of what my reading might look like for the next few months. So buckle in, grab your drink, and let's talk about some horror books. So I'm going to start out with one that I've actually had on the shelf for a little bit, but I did see over on Ashley's channel, Spooky Little Book Nerd, check hers out. She recently talked about this book in one of her videos, and it kind of made me want to read it. So I kind of shuffled it back towards the top for me, and I did already have it, so I wanted to talk about Night Film. This one I grabbed. It's pretty interesting. It's kind of like a mixed media type of book. It's pretty much about Ashley, the mysterious gifted daughter of the reclusive film director Stanislaus Cordova, is found dead in an abandoned warehouse in Lower Manhattan. Her death is ruled a suicide, but veteran investigative journalist Scott McGrath suspects otherwise. What happened to Ashley? As McGrath tries to uncover the truth, he is drawn into a spellbinding quest in the underworld of the Cordova's family life. So I was interested in this a little while ago, and I've seen quite a few people, I think on Bookstagram it was, talk about it mostly, and then Ashley kind of reinvigorated my desire to read it because it kind of sat there and then I didn't think about it for a while, but I definitely want to give this one a shot. Let me know if you've read this. I'm really interested to know. Okay, our next book is from an author that if you read horror, I'm pretty sure you'd probably know his name. This one is his pen name, I believe, and then he writes also under another name, but I can't remember it right now. So this one is Little Heaven by Nick Cutter. Actually, let me look, because I think he signed in both of his names. Yeah. Well, his name is Craig Davidson, I think. He wrote a different book. I'll pop it up here if I can. I'll pop it up in the corner there so you can see what other one he writes. But this author wrote two books that were deeply disturbing. The Troop, which I will talk about later, and The Deep. And this is his other one. And then there's a newer one that I didn't buy yet, but I kind of want to read that one too. But this one, I believe, is his dive into cults. So I'm excited. Nick Cutter, cults. He's probably going to scare me unbelievably because his other ones were just so deeply unsettling, and I don't think, well, I know for a fact I will never read The Troop again, and I will go over that one later on in another video that I have planned for you. But let me know if you've read this one. I'm super excited. I don't even need to really know anything else because Nick Cutter is kind of one of those authors you know is just going to scare you. You know it's going to be good, and it's probably going to be extremely disturbing. So buckle up if you pick any of his books up. So next up, we have another one I've been eyeing up for quite a while. It combines music and horror, and I've seen it all over, and I want to finally read it, but that is Schrader's Chord. I was actually wondering if anybody's listened to the audio of this, because I wonder how it is just because of the musical aspect. Sometimes with the audiobooks, they'll throw in some stuff like that. But this one here is, it says, after his estranged father's mysterious death, Charlie Remick returns to Seattle to help with the funeral. There he discovers his father left him 2 parting gifts: the keys to the family record store and a strange black case containing 4 antique records that, according to legend, can open a gate to the land of the dead. So I'm really interested. So many people have said that they loved this, and it's been on my want list for a while, and I picked it up. I believe it was half price when I got it, so I definitely want to give this a shot soon. If I can't get to it physically, I might try the audio, but if you have, let me know if you would recommend the audio version over the physical edition. So our next one was actually recommended in, I believe it was a podcast. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I remember seeing about it, and that's Echo by Thomas Oldhuville. I hope I pronounced that right, and I'm so sorry if I didn't. I read Hex by this author, and I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was great. It was a very different take on the witchy books. It's a very different take, and I absolutely loved it. There was a shift in the book a little bit, and I think that's where it kind of lost me a tiny bit, but I definitely really enjoyed it. So I had Echo on my list, or on my radar at least, and then it made it to my list when I saw that Mike Flanagan recommends this one. So absolutely, I will read it. In Flanagan we trust. So this one says here on the back, travel journalist and mountaineer Nick Grevers wakes from a coma to find that his climbing buddy, Augustin, is missing and presumed dead. Nick's own injuries are as extensive as they are horrifying. His face wrapped in bandages, unable to speak, Nick claims amnesia, but he remembers everything. He remembers how he and Augustin were mysteriously drawn to the Maudet, a remote and scarcely documented peak in the Swiss Alps. He remembers how the slopes of Maudet were eerily quiet, and how when they entered its valley, they got the ominous sense that they were not alone. So I'm super excited to read more by this author. I'm equally intrigued by Mike Flanagan's recommendation on this one. So let me know if you've read this. I haven't really seen many people talking about this author other than Hex. So I'm really curious, and I know that there is another one. I believe he just came out with another one, so let me know. So continuing on, I'm going to go with a book that needs no introduction on my channel, or really anywhere, I think. And that's going to be Clown in a Cornfield 2. So I read the first one and I really enjoyed it. I never actually read the second one yet, and I just bought the third one because, hello. I'm not going to keep talking about it, but I am going to keep talking about it. Matt Ryan Tobin, awesome artwork. Adam Caesar, great guy. So definitely give Clown in a Cornfield a try. The first one was a lot of fun, and it got into some pretty deep topics. These do not read like YA, but they are usually generally found in the YA sections. So I'm really curious where this one's going to go. But it is a sequel, so I'm going to give it a shot. And let me know if you've read these. I've seen a bunch of people talk about how much they love the third one, and I know a lot of people talked about this one too. And I'm gonna get into some classics here. Frankenstein. I've never actually read it, and I picked this up. I think it was at BAM, and it was on sale, on clearance. But I really love the cover, how smooth and like leathery this is. But I've always really been curious about Frankenstein, and it's not all that long, so I definitely want to give it a try. Let me know if you've read Frankenstein, if you would recommend it. I don't have the best of luck with a lot of the classics, because I have to be in the right mood, and that's really why I didn't get to this one, just because of the way that they are and how they're structured, how wordy sometimes that they can get, and sometimes the language. So, but I'm really curious because I do see a lot of people talking about Frankenstein, and I mean, obviously, if you love horror, you know about this. So I'm really curious, and I have this beautiful edition, and I want to read this. So possibly this year. It's been a few years, but I will get to it eventually, I swear. It says every bookworm, by the way. I'm not the only one. And next up, we have one that it's small. It's not very long, but I haven't made it there yet. I just actually recently watched some of the movies. Warren, my fiance, he really liked the first one a lot, and we watched the newer one recently, and that was pretty good. But some of the ones in between he wasn't a fan of, and I can't remember which ones, and that is the Hellbound Heart, which is also the Hellraiser. He's hanging out back there. But I kind of wanted to try a Clive Barker, and might as well start with this. It's teeny. I do have Books of Blood also, but this one kind of just, with the love of Hellraiser and actually having seen the movie, I'm really kind of curious to what the book is actually like. So if you've read it, let me know what you think, because I'm kind of really curious about it. Okay, so my next one is a very well-known fantasy author, and we're going to talk about it. But I saw this one a little while ago, and I bought it while we were at a secondhand store because I haven't really seen it otherwise, and that is Fever Dream by George R.R. Martin. This is a vampire novel from George R.R. Martin, so I'm really kind of curious about it. I'm not sure how horror it is, but there's vampires, so I'm gonna put it with this. I don't see it a whole lot like on Bookstagram or even on YouTube really, so I'm really curious to know about this one. Next up, we have an author that obviously needs no introduction. I have two of his books on this list of books that I kind of really want to get to, and this one is The Tommyknockers by Stephen King. I just finished Cujo, which I read mostly because of You Like It Darker coming out, and there is something related to Cujo in there. But I wanted to tackle more of the Stephen King books. I did get this one on audio, so I'll probably be listening to it rather than reading it. But we were actually going to watch the made-for-TV series a little while back, but we didn't get to it just yet. I really want to know more about the Tommyknockers. That's like one of the only ones that I haven't watched. I've seen I've seen the Langoliers, I've seen Rose Red, I've seen like a bunch of them, but Miss Tommyknockers, I can't wait to get to this one. I've actually had this edition for quite a while. Somebody was giving a bunch of them away, and I grabbed this one and another one, but I don't actually have that one anymore. I believe it got wet when our shed actually leaked, and I think it was in a box at the time because I didn't have like very much shelf space then, and I had some books put away. Like I said, I grabbed this on audio, so I'll be giving this one a shot soon. I think I might start this one possibly tomorrow, but very shortly. So, Tommyknockers. So, like I said, there are a lot of horror books that I'm looking forward to. This is even only half of my stack. Like I said, I really like to leave everything open because of the way my mood changes, so I have no idea what I'm going to be in the mood for, but these are all books that I'm so excited for, that have been on my TBR forever, and I kind of want to finally read them. And this next book has been there for a while, and that is Mong Girls by Stephen Graham Jones. So I love Stephen Graham Jones. The first book I ever read was The Only Good Indians, and it was fantastic. I will definitely be talking about that later in another recommendation video, because some of these books are just incredibly amazing and they don't get enough love. But Mong Girls is a werewolf novel by Stephen Graham Jones. That's kind of all I want to say about it. Actually, I have more than one of Stephen Graham Jones books on this list, because I am excited also for I Was a Teenage Slasher, which just sounds incredible. But Mong Girls is one of the TBR veterans. Okay, so my next one, needs probably no introduction. It's been everywhere, but it's The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. I haven't read any of her books, but she's been in a few short story collections that I do own but haven't read. This is my first time, so this will be my first time actually reading her work, but I've heard nothing but great things about this, and I'm really excited to give her a try. So we have Gracetown, Florida, June 1950. Your 12-year-old Robbie Stevens Jr. is sentenced to 6 months at the Gracetown School for Boys for kicking the son of the largest landowner in town in defense of his older sister, Gloria. So begins Robbie's journey further into the terrors of the Jim Crow South and the very real horror of the school they call the Reformatory. Robbie has a talent for seeing ghosts, or haints, but what was once a comfort to him after the loss of his mother has become a window into the truth of what happens at the Reformatory. So I don't want to read too much more and give away anything else, but I've heard nothing but great things about this author, and I'm really excited. This is one that I'm really feeling, and maybe after Practical Magic is done, this might be my next one if I'm still there for it, but I've heard nothing but great things, and I'm really excited to finally get to a Tananarive Due book. I actually grabbed this while we were at Comic-Con, and so it's an autographed copy. So my next book is one that I've actually gotten quite recently. It's a new to me author, but I know a lot of people have read his Christmas horror, and I believe it's those Candy Cane. I'll throw it up in the top here. But I see those all the time. But this one sounded really good to me, so I picked this one up. And it's Curse of the Reaper by Brian McCauley. So this is kind of enough said here. Scream meets The Shining in this page-turning horror tale about an aging actor haunted by the slasher movie villain he brought to life. And he signed it for me. Everyone there that we met at the Dark Ink author event in Doylestown they were all really great, and he was really nice, and just hearing all of them talk about their books just made me buy like most of them. So but this one I'm kind of excited to get into it, especially with how horror movie hit the spot. I really do like the ones that you get like some of the movies and some of the movie lore, and so some of it you get like backgrounds into making movies and things like that, like with Sylvia Moreno Garcia's Silver Nitrate, and Brian McCauley was a WGA screenwriter, so he's kind of got some behind the scenes stuff. So I can't wait to read this and give it a try, and then maybe for Christmas I'll pick up one of those other books that he has written. Speaking of TBR veterans, though, we're going right back to those. The Fisherman by John Langan has been sitting on my cart for quite some time. I think I bought this one around the time where I got The Ruins, and I read The Ruins because it was on everybody's top horror lists, and the same with this one, but I just didn't make it to this one yet. I've heard nothing but great things about this, and everyone who talks about it just, always just says read it. So maybe this year will finally be the year. I want to tick some of those off that have been sitting there forever, but like I said, it just depends on what I'm feeling, and hopefully I'm feeling this one. But you have, in upstate New York, in the woods around Woodstock, Dutchman's Creek flows out of the Ashokan Reservoir. Steep-banked, fast-moving, it offers the promise of fine fishing and of something more, a possibility too fantastic to be true. When Abe and Dan, two widowers who have found solace in each other's company and a shared passion for fishing, hear rumors of the creek and what might be found there, the remedy to both their losses, they dismiss it as just another fish story. Soon, though, the men find themselves drawn into a tale as deep and old as the reservoir. I'm really curious, and I want to know why this is on everyone's list, so maybe this will be the year. Maybe. Always, like I said, keeping it open. I have a bunch of different kinds of horror, and I'm going to throw a new one in there. Space horror. Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes just came out rather recently. It's not too old now, but I really liked Dead Silence, and as soon as I saw that she had another one, I had to go for it. So if I'm feeling space horror, I'll give this one a shot. An abandoned planet A Hidden Past, A Deadly Danger. Psychologist Dr. Ophelia Bray has dedicated her life to the study and prevention of Eckhart-Reiser syndrome, ERS, the most famous case of which resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. It's personal to her, and when she's assigned to a small exploration crew who recently suffered the tragic death of a colleague, she wants to help. But as they begin to establish residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. I'm all for space horror, and I've kind of been saving this one for the spooky season, but when I bought it, it was kind of like, do I want to go for that now kind of thing, and I was in the fantasy mood more, so I didn't pick this one up then. So we'll see if I pick it up now. Okay, I've only got a couple left now that I want to talk about. So we do have the other Stephen King that I had, and that's the Langoliers. Tim and April picked this one up for me when they were somewhere. They were somewhere for a convention, I think, and they stopped at a bookstore and they picked this one up for me. Langoliers was one of the made-for-TV series that I saw a long time ago. I barely remember it, but I do remember certain parts, and they still kind of make me giggle to this day. So, but I'm really curious to see what the book is like, it's rather short, so I think it'll definitely be possible to finish that this time. I actually also recently saw somebody on Bookstagram talk about it, and I mentioned that it was on my TBR, and they were like, look, you should read it. It's pretty good. So those are my two Stephen Kings, the Langoliers and the Tommyknockers, and perhaps another one. We'll find out if I get another audiobook or something. But my next book is an author I really like, and I did listen to like an older one, but I'm not sure if I was in the mood when the Libby hold came in or if I got it just because it was available. I don't remember if I was quite in the mood for it, but I did read Night Parade by this author. I think I gave it 3 stars, and then I more recently read Come With Me, which was 5 stars. So this was one of the ones that I saw a lot of people talking about, more than even Come With Me. So that's Bone White by Ronald Malfi. I love this author. Just Come With Me was just an amazing read. I don't even know what to say about it. It made me pick up more of his works just because I need to read them. I want to know. But this one, we have a landscape of frozen darkness punctuated by grim gray days, the feeling like a buzz in your teeth, the scrape of bone on bone. Paul Gallo saw the report on the news, a mass murderer leading police to his victims' graves in remote Dred's Head, Alaska. It's not even a town, more like the bad memory of a town, the same bit of wilderness where his twin brother went missing a year ago. As the bodies are exhumed, Paul travels to Alaska to get closure and put his grief to rest. So I'm really excited to get to another Ronald Malfi. I actually do have the audiobook of Blackmouth, and recently he released Small Town Horror, which I've eyed up but haven't bought yet. This one's been on the cart a little bit, and I want to read it finally. My next pick is it's something. I've heard people talking about it. I've seen it a lot of places in the horror community on Bookstagram, but I picked this one up from Book Depository before it was gone, and that is The Strange by Nathan Ballingrad. I liked this cover so much, and when I saw that Book Depository was closing, I was like, oh, well, I'll get a few of the books that I really want the UK covers of, because I believe this is the UK cover. And yes, it is the UK cover. And it's just beautiful. But it's like what is it? Like a space horror western? Let's see. Annabelle Crisp is 14 when the silence arrives, severing all communication between Earth and her new home on Mars. One evening, while she and her father are closing their diner in the colony of New Galveston, they are robbed at gunpoint. Among the stolen items is a recording of her absent mother's voice. Driven by righteous fury and desperation to lift her father's broken spirits, Annabelle sets out to confront the thieves and bring back the sole vestige of her mother. I'm just really curious, because I've heard great things, and I've never read this author before, so it'll be a new one to try, and it's been sitting on the cart for that long. So, once again, hopefully this year. So we finally made it to the end. This is the last book that I'm going to talk about, and it's one that I recently acquired, even though it's been out quite, I think, a little bit. But this was one of the books that I bought at Dark Ink to get signed by the author while we were there, and that is Devil's Creek by Todd Keisling. I've seen this one around, and just hearing them talk about things and actually seeing this book in person, it's quite something. Like, it's got little drawings in it, it's got trees and stuff on each page. It's just absolutely a beautiful book, and I believe it's a cult book, so we've got another cult. This one says, "Give us that old-time religion. About 15 miles west of Stoufford, Kentucky, lies Devil's Creek. According to local legend, there used to be a church out there, home to the Lord's Church of Holy Voices, a death cult where Jacob Masters preached the gospel of a nameless god. And like most legends, there's truth buried among the roots and bones." So I really, really kind of want to give this one a try. I think I'm feeling maybe some cult reads. I want to give this one a go, and Little Heaven. They're my two kind of cult books that are on the TBR. And I've also heard, I think, is it Children of Red Peak was also really good. So maybe if I'm liking that course right now, I might go for some of those. But like I said, there's just so much in this, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I think he did a lot of this also himself as well. So, oh, and also it features a new introduction by Ronald Malfi, which, one of the other ones too that I don't have physically, but that we did buy the audiobook for, was Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. I'm really curious. I've also heard great things about that, and the narrator sounds pretty great and kind of really creepy. So I will probably get to that soon. I'm thinking maybe Monday I start either that one or Tommyknockers. I will let you know and update you on some of these, but right now I am reading Practical Magic, and I'm doing a vlog on that one, trying my first vlog. So we'll see how that goes. And like I said, if you've read any of these, let me know which ones you think would be best to prioritize, that you would highly recommend, because there's a lot, and I wanted to keep it open and see where my mood takes me. But there's so many that I want to read, and I know I won't get to them all. So there's that. And let me know your spooky season TBR, your horror, your witch books. I want to know all of them. Drop them in the comments below. And let me know if any of these are also on your TBR. I'm curious about some of them. I imagine possibly some of them might have made it, but a lot of these ones are older and not quite new. Not quite right now. So let me know, and thank you so much for watching. Pop in the comments, let me know what you're reading, your TBR. Just say hi. I like to talk to everybody, and it's been fun making videos. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I have more horror content, more spooky season, more fall. I kind of want to do like some of the books that feel a little fall, and I want to talk about some of my like 5-star horror books. Some of my auto-buy authors are horror authors, so you'll get a little bit of everything, and I want to try to get some of those out to you soon. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.